Hello, hockey and basketball fans. My name is David. Thought I would start this video 12:15 at 12:15 on the afternoon of Monday, 20th of February, 2023, North American Eastern Time. Please note that in most Canadian provinces, bar I believe Quebec and Newfoundland, it is a day off, at least at the provincial level. I treat this day as almost any other. I don't know if I'm going to be even leaving my condo suite until Tuesday Eastern Time. But I thought first, before I go into, before I get into my, talk about the state of various Canadian NHL teams, I thought I would do is go to the various standings. So going into that game. So I'm just going to go to the wild card, into the standings in terms of, just going to check first to see if they're accurate. Just going to give you a moment here. Just going to check for accuracy. Alright, so that shows it. Okay, so we have, just going to do it there. Flip the camera. So we have, in the, rather consistently, the Leafs have performed, but 76 points. Nothing to really sneeze at. 14 up on the Panthers. 16 on the Sabres and Wings. 18 up on the Sens. So, question I think is going to be at this point where the Leafs will finish second or third in the Atlantic. Bruins are just so far ahead. Probably no team in the Atlantic is going to catch them, which is totally fine by me. Then look at the other ones. The Habs are 8 points behind even the Sens, but sure beats where the Canucks are at 48, while they're 2 behind the Habs. So it's going to be a competition between those teams. Each have played 56 games. So yeah, well, the question is how the Canucks do. It's not really clear. I mean, the Canucks look like they're so far out of playoff spot. They're now, 17 out. I just don't think there's a hope in hell that they're going to get up there. They're just too far back. Whereas Jets lost to the Devils. I mean, they've just gone in kind of not exactly, they're not exactly doing well. I mean, that Central Division is tight, and Jets quite conceivably could miss. I mean, it's I mean, the Jets have only one loss in extra time. That's in overtime, because the only game they've had that's been decided in a shootout was a win. Wow, they are vulnerable to dropping down, quite potentially dropping into a wild card. The Oilers are very vulnerable too. You're vulnerable to dropping down. And look at the Calgary Flames. Yeah, they're not doing too good. I mean, having lost 4 in a row, 3 of them in extra time, but still, it's not looking good. So all I would do is go to games to take place on this family day on Monday. So it's going to be their 3 game. Well, there are 3. And so 1 to take place will be on TSN, as the Los Angeles games are, and then 4 on Sportsnet West, and then on at least on the 4 Sportsnet regional channels, i.e. East, Ontario, West and Central, and West and Pacific. Jets and Rangers. Sens and Jets will be playing away games. In the eastern part of the contiguous U.S., the Flames will be hosting the Flyers. So it's very interesting there. So it's going to be interesting here. It was, yeah, thought I heard something on the Jeff Merrick show, currently broadcast on Sportsnet's 360 channel, about that game, the upcoming Flames game. So yeah, so I thought I would do is kind of roll through the various Canadian teams, at least the first ones that are not the Leafs, and then go Leafs a bit later. It's also nice because all Canadian teams, bar the Leafs, have their arenas based above the Northern Hemisphere's 49th parallel. So we'll start with Canucks. Winners of a home game on Saturday against the Flyers. Yeah. First win in a while. Although, under head coach Rick Tocchet, rather exceptional. Because this, even since he became head coach after Bruce Boudreau had been turfed, this has been the minimum number of goals the Canucks have typically allowed in a game. Whereas the Canucks only allowed this many goals against the Flyers. Rather impressive. Mind you, the Canucks scored 2 empty netters against the Flyers after John Tortorella, also known as Torts for short, pulled Carter Hart, the goalie he put out that game, to try to generate some offense for his team. Well, I don't blame Torts for trying to generate some offense, but I know ultimately it was a fail. But didn't matter because the Canucks already playing so badly that they're who knows if they're actually going to where they're going to end up. It's certainly not looking too good. That's for sure. I presented the standings earlier on in the video, but I thought I would just recap where the Canucks are. I predicted the Canucks would finish this season no worse than fifth in their division. But I predicted, given how badly they performed, they'll end up no lower than this position in their own division. Flames are just so far ahead, 63 points to 48 for the Canucks, that I don't see the Canucks finishing any higher than sixth in the Pacific. 48 points in 56 games. And, it's, some Canucks fans claim the team should tank for Connor Bedard or Adam Fantilli in the upcoming entry draft, but don't more fans want the Canucks to do well, at least in terms of, trying to, don't players want to try to prove themselves or something? For me, it just, some of these players are going to, I'm not sure how many have become free agents or whatever. Thought I would just go to cap friendly here. At least in terms of making the case among players who remain. So I thought I would do is go to Canucks and see where they are. I don't know what's going on here. Alright, let me see. Oh, come on. Alright. Sorry with technical difficulties, so what I'm going to do is try another way. Alright, never mind. It's just a little bit slower there. So the Canucks have slightly over $5.6 million US dollars that they've used in long-term injury reserve. Players that all the LTR. This is the draft they are in. And in terms of expiring contracts, for next season we have Phil Giuseppe. And then we also have Ethan Bear, Luke Shen, Kyle Burrows and Christian Wolanin. And in all cases, bar that of Bear, to become unrestricted free agents. Bear to become a restricted free agent with arbitration rights. So that means the Canucks can decide whether to give Bear a qualifying offer. So in the minors, we have a couple there. Who knows if they're going to come back before the season's over. Mikael Furland, it's not looking good. So Horvat, no, Bo Horvat. Yeah, buyout history. Canucks will have more solid, have more cap space next season. Then we look at the minors, and we have quite a few there. RFA with no arbitration rights. We have Hoglander, winger, Carson Fox, who doesn't seem to be up off in the minors. Just gonna try to close this off here. Hate these pop-ups. Just there. Then we have, in the minors, we have players to become restricted free agents. On one unrestricted free agent in UFA, Brady Keeper. Then we have the others. 3 of them needing qualifying offers. So then we have Spencer Martin in the minors. A couple seasons. So not a lot of. There's some players, the defense. Defense becoming unrestricted free agents. But the main thing is, the Canucks are, probably not going to see playoff action. Who knows when they next will? Thatcher Demko's still hurt, and although Arturas Shilovs, did a lot better against the Flyers than he did against the Rangers or whatever it was. Still, it's goaltending situation is very uncertain in the Lower Mainland. So yeah, the Canucks are with Demko, with the return of Thatcher Demko, very uncertain. Who knows if he will come back this season? So now I'm going to move on to the Edmonton Oilers, to the Calgary Flames, and very consistent. Who knows what they're going to get in the postseason? It's going to be interesting to find out what happens, because I think the game's on Monday. All right, it's going to go there. Yeah, the Flames should beat the lowly Flyers, but you can see what tendency of the Flames to play down to their competition. But I see that game going either way. So now going to rather inconsistent Oilers, 4 straight losses. Can you believe that? Just gonna see here about the 2022-23 Oilers. So yeah, they've blown quite a few leads. Blew against the Rangers. I thought, the Oilers. All right, so we get to go here. All right, let's see here. The Oilers. Oops. Wow. Against the Senators. This month has been not very good. Well, okay, to be fair, the Oilers, the Oilers have averaged over a point per game this month, but but they have not done very well. Yeah, blown lead against the Rangers. Thinking, were the Rangers going to quit? Oh, no, they didn't. Yeah. The Oilers would next be in action late Tuesday Eastern Time. 9, broadcast start at 9 on Sportsnet West against the Flyers. So the Oilers should win. Well, I say should because the Oilers have had a tendency too often to play down to their opponents, or at least to opponents that are outside the playoff picture or below the playoff line. Let's find out what happens. So yeah, the Oilers have been inconsistent. Defense has been a mess. So time to move on to the Winnipeg Jets. And yeah, let's go to Sunday. It was against the Devils. Not very good. Once again, the Jets struggled to put points on the board, and they could slide out. I see at least one of the Jets and Oilers seeing playoff action this season, you know, given games that have emerged. The question is, which of those teams? It could be that, the other teams to be strong enough that they'll stay in a playoff position. I think it'll just be the question of whether it'll be a wild card one or a top three divisional spot. Yeah, so let's see now. I'm not going to go to the Habs. I'm going to go to Senders. Seems to be on a roll, but still, they got work to do to get up to, it's playoffs to a wild card spot. Who knows to get in? But it'll be interesting because a new ownership group is scheduled to take over the next couple months or so. UB. And then it may very well, that new ownership group may very well make changes. And, after so many seasons of no playoff action in in southeastern Ontario, well, maybe next season will be the one. Who knows, though? Now I'm going to go with the Habs, and, well, they haven't had a very good season, but they weren't expected to do very much. I mean, they've lost 2 straight games in regulation. They have 50 points over 56 games. Not many more points than the Canucks do, but to be fair, they weren't expected to do very much. And yeah, I mean, could be the Habs end up finishing in last place in their own in the Eastern Conference. They're now second lowest number of points among teams in their own conference, and yeah, I can understand. That being said, I mean, the Habs are still the Habs, and maybe next season they'll see playoff action. Who knows how? And now I'm going to go with the Leafs, and there have been quite a few changes. A trade involving the Minnesota Wild and St. Louis Blues for now ex-Blues forwards, these are centers, Noel Acciari and Ryan O'Reilly. So far, the verdict is mixed. I mean, really, both of them have points. O'Reilly an assist against the Habs on Saturday Eastern Time, and Acciari a goal against the Hawks. That being said, it's too early to say whether the trade for those two centers that include those two centers will end up working, because there's also the blue line, which has been a rotating cast of characters and not very good quality at times. Sure, Leafs end up beating the Habs, coming back from a 1-0 deficit to end up winning 5-1. Yet, against the Hawks, the Leafs start off slow, and they never got a lead. They never took a lead. And indeed, very late in the game, empty net goal, boom, it was over. But effectively, the game was pretty much almost over after that go-ahead goal. I'm just gonna see who did so there. Just gonna go to, the Leafs did. I mean, Leafs did make a go of that game, but it was just still a piss poor effort. It was no excuse. Well, let's go to the synopsis of the game here. I'm just gonna go with Sportsnet. You can see here, yes, the Leafs effectively countered. They countered under 3 minutes, a bit over 2 minutes after having allowed the opening goal. But the second period, they didn't do very well. There was 1-1, and then it was 1-1, 2-1. So then it was 3-2 after 3-2 Hawks after the second period. Patrick Kane, very deadly forward. Deadly in terms of scoring power. And yes, there were contributions from the bottom six, from the depth forwards, the Leafs, and also the defensemen. Riley and Hall having assisted on a goal by Mitch Marner. But then it was, Cole Guttman was a gut punch for Leafs. 11:42 mark the third, and sure, it was a close game. It would turn out being close if it weren't for that net goal. But effectively, it was it was game over then. Ilya Samsonov, the goalie, is assigned by Leafs head coach Sheldon Keefe to start that game. Did not have a very good one. Allowed 2 ugly goals that I could count. And, yeah, I mean, yes, I admire, Samsonov to come and get back. He had been suffering some illness on Saturday that kept him out of the lineup. With Joe Woll having gotten a win for the Leafs, and Eric Kallgren backing Woll up. It was Woll backing Samsonov up on Sunday. But again, it didn't go well. The Leafs have to find a way to win in those games that take place on consecutive evenings. On consecutive calendar days Eastern Time. Because let's face facts. Just going to go now to 2 games that the Leafs play. So now we go to teams, sports entities. So what games the Leafs still have to play that are on consecutive calendar days Eastern Time? That is what I'm going to try to do. Oops. Hate this. Hate when they're there. All right, just going to go to Sportsnet. All right, I'm going to go to the Leafs and see where they're at. All right, they're going to go see a full schedule for the rest of the regular season. So there are no groupings of games on consecutive evenings, consecutive calendar days Eastern Time. They're all evening games, so we look at that back to back. Will the Leafs manage to get at least 3 points out of that? We'll see. Only 2 out of some of the prior ones. And then we look at, got one there. Home to the Canes, and then away from home against the Sens. So will the Leafs manage to get points out of that? More than 2. We'll find out. So that's 2 already in March. And then we look at the third. Hurricanes and Preds in different states. We'll see what happens. And then we look at April. There are 8 games, including 4 in sets of back-to-backs. Will the Leafs manage to get points from either of those? Well, we'll see. But what these Leafs need is consistency. It's time to get ready for playoff action. Get ready to play good defense. And as to whether I can trust Matt Murray, acquired in the last offseason from the Sens, from a Sens team that agreed with Leaf GM Dubas to retain a quarter of Murray's cap hit, can't be trusted. This is not the fault of Matt Murray. This is the fault of Kyle Dubas, who should have learned from the Mrazek disaster that acquiring goaltenders with a long history of injuries is just not the way to go. What a waste of a roster spot. When instead, the Leafs could and should have gone after a better quality goalie. Instead, it's use Samsonov too much and burn him out. Sure, the Leafs can decide, I'm just going to take a drink here, to moisten my throat. Sure. The problem is, the Leafs still have, they have only 1 contract spot available. And in terms of draft picks, Leafs have 3 this season. 5 next, and 5 after that. There are all these unrestricted free agents, pending UFAs, which is very important. And there's Joey Anderson, who, on whom the Leafs need to decide, for whom the Leafs need to decide whether to extend a qualifying offer. A couple of defensemen, and you have that. And let's see what happens. Joe Wall and Murray has been injured. So yeah, let's see about the goaltending depth of the Miners. Well, there's still 3. Effectively 2, because Hildeby's over in his native Sweden, playing in his in the top hockey league over there. The others are with the Marlies, and although with Petruccelli having yet to play a regular season or playoff game at the NHL level with the Leafs, or with any other team for that matter. There's Shalgren, who becomes an RFA with arbitration rights come the offseason, unless the Leafs choose to re-sign him, and who knows if that's going to happen. But again, Matt Murray was a waste of a roster spot. And that fault for that lies on Dubas. And I must add that should the Leafs fail, for whatever reason or combo thereof, to win a playoff series in April, then I'd say that it's going to be time to make changes. Time for the board of MLSE, the ownership group of the Leafs, Raptors, and a few other sports teams around the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area, to replace Dubas and Brendan Shanahan, respectively, with a new GM and president. Because I don't know if Dubas understands how to run a hockey team. He's shown that that his ability to run a good hockey team, beyond the regular season, isn't there. And look at the lack of playoff success. It doesn't matter. Thinking, home ice advantage would be good. Well, maybe it would, be a momentum boost. But when I look at the record in those seasons that have involved not playing in a bubble, these haven't done the best. At least 2020 haven't done well at home. Haven't done, didn't do well, in their own rink. 2021 against the Habs, the Leafs ended up winning 1 of 4 games played at Scotiabank Arena versus 2 of 3 over at the Bell Center. So yes, it's going to be interesting to find out. Home ice advantage was supposed to have helped the Leafs in the Habs Leaf series, but nope, it didn't do that. So I'm going to go see what's out there. Going to watch the Sensers, see if the Sens can beat the Bruins. I don't like the Sens' chances, but again, Sens are a rebuilding team, and it may very well be that next season the Sens will be more capable of beating those elite teams. See what happens. Anyway, with the week of the 19th of February already underway, I'm going to say good afternoon and go Leafs go.